Hi everyone, good evening. Am I clearly audible, guys? Let me put it like this. Am I clearly audible, visible?
Hello, hi sir. Good evening.
Can you guys see me rightfully? Hear
Yes,
me
sir.
rightfully? साकेत दमानी जी, दिख रहा हूँ पुत्र मैं. आशुतोष अग्रवाल जी,
हाँ जी. यस सर.
मुझे नहीं ना दिख रहे बेटे आप. साकेत पुत्र, मैनू भी नजर नहीं आ रहा तू. I can't see you, Saket. Ashutosh.
Just a second, sir. I was talking.
All right. I get you. Meg, how is the prep going? All good?
Yes, sir. All good.
Saloni, feeling confident? At least better than before. Saloni पुत्र, all good? Saloni गायब हो गई भी 1 मिनट में. वाह, सवाल पूछा and she's off. मयांक, all good बेटा?
पर आपने चेक किया मेरा पेपर?
No, not yet. It won't happen till tomorrow. I'll be checking day after.
Your voice is not audible.
I'm saying it won't happen till tomorrow. I will be checking that day after.
Okay. पर तो मैंने एक्चुअली 25 की बात किया है, जो आज सुबह किया है मैंने सबने.
I'll have a look on that. I'll come back to you once I have a look on it.
Okay.
All right. If there is nothing else, let's just kick start and then we'll take it up from there. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the day 3 of Strategic Business Reader for the June 2025 exam, the grand revision for the same. What we intend to cover today is something that is really going to be a game changer for all of you, and that is the analysis of the pre-seen material that I really wanted to talk about, which has come up for the June 2025 exam. We all have received the pre-seen material. We all understand that. We all would have seen it in some shape or format. We would be, of course, now dwelling out into the detail in terms of what that is and what does that mean for you and how one should be really taking up holistically in terms of the overall content that is being shared with you. Now, what we would be covering today is purely on the account of industry per se. So, as I've been saying again and again, that there are 2 parameters for the pre-seen material that you would see in the exam. One, of course, is for the industry, and 2, of course, is the company for which the question has really come up for yourself in the exam. What we intend to cover today is the industry perspective. I do want to talk on in detail in terms of what does this industry is all about and so on and so forth. So we'll quickly get on to the agenda as to what that is. And tomorrow's session would be on the company per se, in terms of what this company is. So I just wanted you to take the information on piecemeal basis. Mehak, before you really ask this, by end of the day today, all the PPTs will be shared with you, at least for the day 1, day 2, day 3. I could sense that question from your face, Mehak. I'm not forgetting that, beta. That is the reason these PPTs will be shared with you. And of course, day 4 will come later on. Does that sound like a plan? Yes, sir. Moving on. Let's jump on, my friend, to the part 1 of the pre-seen material analysis for the June 2025 exam. What is gonna be covered today is something like this. As I said, we will be deep diving onto the industry per se, as to what this industry, shoe industry, is all about in this particular country. We want to start off with the introduction, and then I've specifically covered various topics for you to really ensure that you really have a complete hang of it. What I've also done is that while we'll be discussing these topics, there are some important aspects that I want your brain to think through. So we'll be touching upon on that, and of course I want to give you my 2 cents on that in terms of what you should be thinking about, and of course what you should be working through. We'll be talking on that to make sure that at least you get some hang of it in terms of what would come in your exam, and if that would come in your exam, how one should be handling that in the best possible way. We'll be talking on the introduction. We'll be getting on to the details about the overview of the industry that has been given to you. I do want to spend good amount of time in terms of talking about the production details. Now, this is a pure manufacturing organization that we have today in question. in our exam, we are going to be hit by a manufacturing industry, which is a shoe making industry. So we really want to be talking about in terms of what really happens in this industry. So we do want to spend good amount of time in terms of understanding the basic nuances of this industry as to what really happens from the raw material perspective, what happens from the processing perspective, what happens from the scrap perspective, what happens from the environment perspective, what would happen from the sales perspective, where are we selling, what are we selling, where the sale is most, where it is the least, what are the factor of production, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of parameters what one then really can get into when it comes to a company which is a consumer good kind of an industry, what you really have it over here, which because it will really talk on so many areas, both from the production as well as from the sales perspective. We'll talk upon on the market structure in terms of what this industry has as a structure of the market, or I would say what kind of markets you have in the country as far as the shoe industry is concerned, and so on and so forth. So we'll see the pluses and the minuses of both. We'll talk upon that. I don't want to talk upon the sales channels, what industry really has been observing over a period of time. So we'll be talking on to that. Challenges, super important thing, my friend. We'll be talking on in terms of what kind of challenges that are being observed when it comes to a industry like this. What kind of challenges are this industry per se is going through in the country, and so on and so forth. We'll talk on the innovation and development piece in terms of what is needed and what is really happening at the same time. And of course we'll talk on various regulatory aspects when it comes to the industry bodies, standards, and the legislation. All of this is detailed out in your pre-seen material. You can have a look on that too. But I would say that once you have gone through this deck with me, once you have heard me saying what all I want to say, your job or journey becomes a hell lot easier, because then it will not be that much time consuming, or probably you'll nail it rightfully on all of those areas. So be with me, and of course we'll be able to rock this in the best possible way. Should we go ahead and take it on? Yes, sir. Let's start off, my friend, with the introduction. The question that we have in the exam this time circles down the Dern Shoes Limited. It is a company that manufactures and sells shoes. So I'm a manufacturer, my friend, of shoes. Now, first thing, Saket, that should really hit your mind whenever something like this comes your way, that the business I am in, is it really impacting the environment in some shape or format? I can tell you one thing, this is a shoe industry, and shoe industry impacts the environment. Come what may, there would be something in relation to this in the exam. I'm just guessing it out. I'm not trying to predict the exam. But considering the industry that I have, there would be something in the exam wherein you have to demonstrate the responsible leadership, wherein you have to demonstrate the integrated reporting, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying that you will just blindly say all of these things, but have those things at the back of your mind, because you may have to, even if those are not being directly asked, you may have to demonstrate that ability, Mehek, to make the examiner understand, beta, that we know responsible leadership. We know that we have to demonstrate that in this kind of an industry. We know that environmental impact is important. We know that integrated reporting may be needed, and so on and so forth. So those are the things, my friend, should automatically try. I'm just trying to sow the seeds onto your mind, Mayank, Saket. I'm just trying to sow the seeds so that you are aware that those are the things I should be aware that this might get noticed in the exam. I want to get differentiated from my lefts and the rights, right? I want my exam paper to be looked different. So I have to incorporate all of those areas, my friend, to make sure that I'm able to add value to the examiner in some shape or format. Does that sound like what you really need to do? Yes, sir. Now this company is founded 100 years ago. 100 years ago. They are really young, man. And that is where I would say this industry is nothing but very old, and I would say in some shape or format very established too. Very basic thing, but yes, it's a very veteran kind of an industry. Okay, fourth largest sorry, so I'm not saying industry, it's company. So this company is like 100 years old, and of course it is very old and established. So it's a veteran company. It's a fourth largest shoe manufacturer and retailer in the country called Luckland. So you have a company country Luckland, and our company, which is Dern Shoes Limited, is number 4 in terms of what all we do, in terms of what all we have in terms of size. Now, based in Luckland, and of course, I would say based in Luckland, which is a developed and the political stable country. So it's more like a country which is like a Europe kind of a thing, wherein everything is hunky dory, things are really settled, developed country, and of course, very stable as far as the environment is concerned, the political stability is concerned, and so on and so forth, which gives me a perspective that yes, everything is going fine. Okay, now this is what I know from the overall introduction perspective as far as which company I am dealing with and which country they are in, and of course what kind of things that are happening in that particular country. Okay, I get that. I'm just consuming the information, sir. I'm getting there. I know that. Move on. Let's move on to the overview of the industry now, in terms of what the shoe manufacturing and retailing industry in Luckland is all about. Let's go and circle this down. Industry involves manufacturing adult and children's shoes in factories or workshops. Okay. Products are sold to the customer in Luckland via retail outlet or online stores. Okay. Again, an information to consume. Export sales are made through distributors to international customers. Okay, so industry is that matured that they are also exporting through the distributors to various international consumers. Okay, I get that. I'm consuming that. While leather was traditionally used, cheaper man-made material like synthetic leather are now widely used. Or something like this, when it comes up, it should lit up a light in your mind, my friend, that this would be having a potential impact on the environment in some shape or format. Synthetic leather, which is now widely used, would certainly mean that I am deteriorating the environment in some way or the other. So cheaper man-made material is right now being used in this industry. I'm just giving you my 2 cents, my friend, in terms of how one should be thinking about in these areas. Synthetic leather consists of fabric based covered in plastic. We understand that. That's not good for us. That's not good for the environment at all. Okay. Industry revenue in Luckland is $3750 million in 20x4. Okay, so I'm just consuming the figure right now. I'm not really trying to dwell on that. All right, moving on. Let's see. Annual growth since last 4 years has been 1.71%. Forecasted average annual growth over next 5 years is 1.06%. So last 4 years I've done 1.7%. Coming 5 years I'm expecting 1.06%. Effectively I'm saying we are trying to hit the recession now. It is a saturation that we are observing. That is the reason we are saying that our growth is gonna be slowing down. May not be a recession, but we are maybe running towards that or walking towards that, because we are seeing degrowth now. We are not having more than 1.71%. We are effectively observing 1.06% as growth, which says that yes, there is a slowdown that is happening in the industry. Okay, market is dominated by 5 Luckland manufacturers. Okay, we have Flamingo Limited, Rego Shoes, Parrish and Company Limited, Dern Shoes Limited, and Better Buy Shoes Limited. So so there are 5 manufacturers that are being given. These 5 companies controlled over 45% of market. Okay, so effectively 55% is being run or owned by somebody else, which is more than 200 smaller organizations make up the remainder, which is 55%. So effectively we are saying that more than 50% is being owned by 200 manufacturers, which effectively means somewhere that there are low barriers to entry in this industry. You are having too many players in the market, so effectively it is not that difficult for a company to really start manufacturing shoes. at least in that country, and there can be, whatever reason, the availability of factors of production, labor or machinery or tech know-how and so on and so forth, the availability of that can be like readily available, and that is the reason you can say that the barriers to entry is certainly not there in this country or in this industry. We are observing huge number of people really starting this as an operation, and that is one of the thing that you should have at the back of your mind, because from the industry parlance perspective, it seems that the probability or the intention of somebody to do this business would never be turned down. It is easy to start this business, it is easy to grow in this business, and so on and so forth. So many of the folks are really opting for that, and of course doing what they're doing. Am I clearly audible, guys? Just to
Yes, sir.
I could see some tech issue coming in. Am I audible? Mehak, am I audible, beta?
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir, clearly.
I was not able to hear you out. Okay, fair enough. Moving on to the production side of it. Now in Luckland, shoes are being produced in one of two ways. They're using mass production techniques, or they are handcrafted. Now I have picked up these specific bullets from your pre-seen material because I really loved them in terms of you really having that at the back of your mind, and of course taking to the exam room, these pointers would certainly be very important. So there are two, I would say, ways the shoes are being manufactured in that particular country. We have mass production happening, and on the other hand, it is more like customized, handcrafted shoes being developed and so on and so forth, which of course would be very labor intensive, I'm sure. Mass production shoes involve the use of machines at almost all stages of production process, although many of these machines need human supervision and human operation. Now the moment something like this really comes up, a light should be there in your mind saying that the entire process is not fully automated. So you never know, my friend, if there is a dilemma of automation that may really gets your way in the exam, wherein they are contemplating automating the entire process and so on and so forth. So you never know if something like this really comes up, but he has specifically said that many of these machines requires human supervision. You should know that it is not fully automated. All right, moving on. There are four main stages of production of shoes, whether they are produced using mass production technique or handcrafting, depending upon what the need of the hour is. They're really doing that. If you really talk on the manufacturing process that is being given in your pre-seen material, it says there are four stages. You have cutting, you have stitching, you have lasting, and then you have finishing. See how detailing we are doing, or how detailed we are going into the process of manufacturing a shoe, wherein cutting involves parts of the top section of the shoes which cover the shoes. The upper are cut from the material. Okay, so from the material you are effectively covering the upper portion of the shoe. Stitching, part of the upper are sewn together, so you are effectively knitting them together. Lasting, wherein the finished uppers are then molded onto the soles, and then they're adding the soles onto the color over here. So effectively the entire shoe will get made out here, and then comes the finishing, when the shoe quality is being checked and being packed. So this is the process that is being followed: cutting, stitching, lasting, and finishing. That is a very normal process, what ideally would any shoemaking industry would have. They specifically have called out the same. Now if I really talk on Luckland based manufacture, originally produced all of their shoes domestically. Originally they were using everything domestically, they are producing everything domestically, which is good, right? At least from the country's perspective, this is good. But over past 20 years, what has happened is that mass production techniques and man-made material have enabled other countries to grow their shoe manufacturing industry. So my countries, in addition to Luckland, they have started developing the expertise in the shoemaking, and these countries offer low production costs. So effectively, they're like China's of the world, right? They're offering the low production cost material, which of course any European country will just go and buy it for. So some Luckland-based manufacturers now of the mass production shoes have outsourced part of their production to these third-party manufacturers in these countries. Now, if something like this really comes up, Karan, you should know, beta, that now there is a problem of outsourcing out here. They are outsourcing part of their production to some different countries. Now we should have this at the back of our mind, that there is an outsourcing issue that is being called out here, which may be there in the exam. You may get to see the benefits or the limitations of the outsourcing. If something like this happens, you may have to have the right sources of checks and balances as far as the overall industry is concerned, or overall manufacturing process is concerned, or overall outsourcing is concerned, as the case may be. You really have to have that at the back of your mind, that those are the things I need to be categorically very clear from the examination perspective. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Moving on. Handcrafting. Now we have seen the mass production, right? Mass production, everything was happening domestically. Later on, last 20 years or so, there are various manufacturers who are doing it. We've started outsourcing it. We're getting the information, sir. We're getting consuming. All right. Moving on. Handcrafting follows same 4 stages as mass production. Skilled labor manually performs some of our tasks typically done by machines, sewing the upper parts. Okay. Handcrafted shoes are usually made from high quality leather, not man-made material. So there is no, I would say, ecological issue or environmental issue when it comes to the hard handcrafting of the shoes or handcrafted products. Because you are not using the synthetic material, they are known for the superior quality and the craftsmanship. Of course, there is a huge human intervention, which can be negative too, since you are dependent on the humans for really doing it. There is less of automation that is possible out here, and of course, since there is a human need, the ability to really do a mass production, of course, goes down. You cannot just do that. And since there is a human dependency, you have to see in terms of how humans or people are really open for having a career into this domain. Is that a problem from the long-term perspective? Is that good? Is there a right legislation or the policy making that has happened for these artisans, these handcrafts people, and so on and so forth? Do we have those policies? Are they being treated fairly? They are not being treated fairly, depending upon our competition and upon our own company. How are these artisans or these shoemakers are being treated in the industry per se? How good or how well off they are, and so on and so forth. All those questions really start hitting out your mind, so that if you get to see something like this in the exam, at least you have those thoughts running at the back of your mind. All right. They are known for the superior quality and craftsmanship. Okay. Production cost is higher, of course, due to the low, you're using the premium leather, and of course you're using the skilled labor. So skilled labor is a costly one. So cost would be high. But if it is a skilled labor, do we have the availability? That question should also hit your mind. As a result, handcrafted shoes are sold higher prices, and of course than the mass production ones. Okay. Handcrafted shoes production remain in Luckland and has not been outsourced above. Now this is very important, guys. There is no outsourcing that has happened for this. I would say that we have a specialization in the handcrafted product as far as the country Luckland is concerned. So I can say that I have a strategic positioning there from the overall handcrafted industry for the shoes is concerned. I am at a strategic position there, which I can really capitalize on if I really have to. Do not forget that, guys. He has specifically said something like this that makes me understand, or makes me now constitute to the fact that I have a strategic positioning as far as the handcrafted shoes are concerned. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Any questions so far? Anyone? Anybody? Guys, I am not seeing you guys. All of you have switched off your cameras. Not good. Saket, Ashutosh. You want to hear my audio lectures? I can do that. You want your screen to be like this? I'm happy doing this. No, na? You want to see me, right? So is the case with me, no? Any question, anyone? Karan, Saket, Ashutosh, Saloni, Mehak, anything that really comes to your mind till now. It's a plain vanilla walk right now, not anything very scientific per se. But I just want to go slow in terms of ensuring that we take this as on the piecemeal basis. Anything that really comes to your mind, guys?
Sir, environmental impact both of the material use करने से हो सकता है ना, leather भी and synthetic material भी.
बिल्कुल हो सकता है, बट बेटा किसी भी चीज़ पे काम करने से थोड़ा सा इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट तो होता ही है. जीवन में कुछ भी करोगे, whatsoever you may do, there will be some impact on the environment. Even if when you're breathing, there is some impact on the environment, right? That's not important. What is really important is being material over here. What is materially impacting my environment is something that is really gonna be important. Any question, anyone? Ashutosh, you were saying something? Saket Damani ji, all good? Okay, let's move on. Let's understand what are the type of shoes that the industry has been manufacturing and of course selling. Number one says you are into formal shoes, which are handcrafted formal shoes, smart shoes for adults made of leather. Okay, we get that. Semi-formal shoes, mass produced. Okay, relatively formal shoes for adults made of mixture of leather and synthetic material. Casuals, mass produced informal shoes of adults made from synthetic material. Okay. Children shoes, mass produced shoes made of either leather or synthetic material. That means only the formal shoes are the one that are not using the synthetic material and not impacting the environment. Else than that, semi-formal, casual or children shoes are being made out of the synthetic material in some shape or format. Okay, sir, we get that. We're consuming this. Okay, let's go. Information about 5 large organizations and the small organization in industry is set out here. Now, this is something I've just picked up from your pre-seen material. It specifically says there are 5 companies: Rigo, Flamingo, Dern, Parish and Betterby, and of course smaller organization. If I really go and test out what Rigo really says, Rigo is doing a mass production, okay, of what? Good quality casual shoes, okay. 18 to 13-year-old I target. Price point is very high. If I really see the ratio, 11.1% is the Rigo's share, okay. It is the highest share that they have, okay. Flamingo on the other hand, they're doing mass production, low quality casual shoes and children, adults and children. Price point is really low, so it's more like they're really running. Flamingo is running on the cost differentiation, right? They've really gone on to the fact that they want to lower out the cost irrespective of the fact that quality takes a back seat. So they are not that much concerned about the quality, but they are really concerned about doing the mass production kind of a thing, which is more like, I would say, any what is the right example? Maybe Zudio would be the right example, wherein you are effectively selling the cheap product irrespective of what quality you are really managing and so on and so forth. No offense to Zudio, right? Dern, which is our company, right? Handcrafting and mass production. So we are good, guys. We are not only in the mass production, we are good, right? We have a specialization being worked out in our company. We are selling the handcrafted shoes, okay. Good quality, very nice, I love that, okay. All 4 types of shoes is something that we are selling, okay. For adults and children, our price point is medium and our share is 9.4%. Okay, I get that. Let's go to Parish. Parish is handcrafting only. They are even better than us. Good quality formal shoes, adults. Price point is really high, okay, and share is 8.9%. Okay. Now, while I'm reading that, I'm talking to myself that if I am done and I am into all the 4 types of shoes, and all the 4 types of shoes are of good quality, targeting to adults and children, price point is medium, doing handcrafting and mass production. Now think about, I am done, I'm doing handcrafting and mass production. Should I do one, only handcrafting? Or should I do only mass production? Or should I change the ratio? Maybe handcrafting more, mass production less. I don't know. Should I compromise on my quality? I'm already a good quality player. Should I compromise on quality and increase my sales? Or I would say, should I reduce my price point? Should I increase my price point, like what Parish has been doing? That can be also a strategy, wherein I'm working on the differentiation strategy and I'm trying to really demand high price because I'm able to contribute to the quality of shoes in a more better way. Can I do that? Can I also only make shoes for adults, not for children? Is that a better strategy? God knows. Depending upon the information that would be given to you in the exhibit, you may have to start discussing and thinking through on all of these pointers. But information, the way it is being given, you may get to see something like this in the exam, wherein he might give you different thought in terms of what should you be doing from the futuristic perspective. Then you should have all your pluses and minuses available with you, that if I manufacture handcrafting first, then what would happen? I may have less of skilled labor availability. What all things that you need to consider? I have to see that what is the cost of that labor. I have to see availability of that labor. I have to see the material that is being used. Is that material being available? How costly is that material, and so on and so forth. So the moment you will decide something, you should start thinking on those lines. See, Saloni, Mehek, Karan, I was mentioning you the same thing in the class also, that many of the times when you go very generic, when you go very general knowledge, from the very general knowledge perspective, or common sense perspective, when you start thinking, you start getting pointers on your own. So there is no model that we are talking out here. We are only talking about what one should be doing if one is choosing one way to the other. So if I'm doing mass production, should I only do that? That's a lower price point item. What kind of profit margin I'm having on handcrafting? What kind of profit margins I'm having on mass production? Is mass production gonna be causing me an issue from the environmental perspective, or from the legislation perspective, from the requirement or the compliance perspective? Who knows? Start asking those questions to yourself, because those are the questions that you should be having in your mind when you are getting onto the exam room. And when you get to see those questions and you have your mind being opened up, you would get better opportunity or better ways of really answering that in the exam. Otherwise, you'll always be scarce of the idea, or your pointers would be very limited. If you more think of these areas, अच्छा ऐसा होगा तो कैसा होगा, ऐसा होता तो फिर क्या होगा, और क्या हो सकता है, और क्या हो सकता है, और क्या हो सकता है. If you start thinking on those lines, your answer would be better as compared to a very closed, knitted answer that you might end up answering if you are not thinking that way. Moving on, Better Buy, a mass production organization, good quality semi-formal shoes and children's shoes, so they're not into formals. But for adults and children, price point is medium, share is 5.1%. In a way, it says, it is really calling this out to me, that formal shoes has a bigger market share as compared to semi-formal shoes, because the companies who are only manufacturing semi-formal shoes have a low share all throughout the market. So in a way, we should know that which way we have to go: formal, semi-formal, children, or mix of all, and so on and so forth. Then the smaller organization, handcrafting and mass production, both are doing all types, adults and children. Price point can be various. Market share is approximately 55%. That's what we discussed, which is huge. Do we have an acquisition possibility here? Maybe there is a question that really comes your way in the exam, Saket, wherein the Dern company is contemplating acquiring XYZ. XYZ is manufacturing handcrafted product. Now those handcrafted products are highly priced, but sales are not that high, and they need some specialization which Dern can really help them with. Should they do that? And so on and so forth. So start thinking on those lines that is there an acquisition? Because 55% is too big a number. 55% of 200 companies, that means there is surely a possibility to consolidate. There is surely a possibility to acquire. Is that something that I should look forward to? Do I have a technical know-how being available? Is that something I should look forward to? And so on and so forth. Think on those lines. Very important. Moving on. Moving on the sales channel side. What are the sales channels that this industry really has? 85% of the Luckland shoes manufacturers' revenue come from domestic sales within Luckland. 85% domestic sales. Huge. Sales are made directly to the customer via branded retail outlets and online stores. Okay. Offline sales generate $2 to $60 million in X4, about 60% of the total industry revenue. Offline is 60%. That means, okay, online is not that great. Online sales account for 25%. Okay, not that big a number of the total revenue of X4, approximately 926 million. There is certainly an opportunity of online out here. Certainly. 60% is offline, and offline would always require capital investment. You have to have a good shoe store, you have to have people, and so on and so forth. So cost is certainly going to be high of an offline store. Online store, on the other hand, has only 25% now. There is certainly a potential to grow there, because profit margins of online business would also be very high as compared to an offline business. Opportunity, we should have that in our mind. Online sales are made only to the customers within Luckland. No international online deliveries. Why? Question should come to our mind. Why no international deliveries? Do we not have the right infrastructure being available? Do we not have the right digital infrastructure being available for making international sales? Do we have some political concerns, political issues for making these international sales? Do we have some tax issues for making these international sales? Do we have some trust issue by our customers not buying from us as far as the international sales are concerned? But they mentioned that there is an export. We'll come on to that in a while. So there should not be a trust issue there. There should be an issue around having the strong digital infrastructure being available to trade internationally. There can be a political issue, and so on and so forth. Those are the things that should start coming onto your mind, my friend. The more you would see that, Mayank, more you would see that, think about it, Karan, the better it is for you to frame out your answers in the exam. I'm just trying to sow the seeds, my friend, which you should, of course, I would say keep pouring water on to make sure that you get to see very good trees down the line when you hit the exam in the best possible way, or want to hit the exams in the best possible way. That's the only way out. All right. If I really say Luckland shoe industry had a strong global reputation for quality, okay, so there is not a problem from international perspective. Of course, infrastructure can be a concern. Export sales have long been part of industry, especially for the handcrafted shoes. So we have the strategic advantage there. My strategic advantage should help me to grow my handcrafted business come what may. In the recent years, demand for handcrafted shoes have risen in the market, and with increasing disposable income. All right, so we are seeing an increase also out here, which is really good. I want to invest out, and my company already does this handcrafted business. Market is growing. While the overall market is shrinking, market for handcrafted shoes is increasing. Is that not an opportunity for me to capitalize on what I really have as the strategic advantage in Dun Company? Answer is absolutely yes. Export sales accounted for what? 15% of total revenue in X4, around 564 million, mostly from the handcrafted shoes sold through distributors. So there is a big time market. 15% is being sold through distributors. If I have a strong technical or technological infrastructure being given, I can sell even more, my friend. Even more in terms of, I can really enhance my sales, enhance my outreach, and so on and so forth. There is certainly a need to have it. There is certainly need to think about it. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Moving on. Now, this is what Luckland footwear manufacturing revenue split is all about. It says 60% is offline sales, we just spoke. 15% is export sales only through distributors. There is no online sales in export. Then you have online sales in Luckland only, which is of 25%. I see a huge scope of increasing the online sales by not only targeting the export, but also targeting within Luckland also. domestic customers also in Luckland can be targeted, because 60% offline sales is too big a number considering the real life scenario that we are in right now at this point in time. Do you really feel that, I'm just making it up, do you really feel that even today some of the top brands that you see, Reeboks of the world or Adidas of the world, or let's say New Balance of the world, do you really feel that how much share they would have from the offline business vis-a-vis online business? The ratio would be otherwise. They would have more sales online, less sales offline. That is the reason you would not find their showroom available at all the places. Only the premium places would have their showrooms, not like everywhere. And most of the sales that they do is through platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and so on and so forth, because that would make their profit go high, considering there is low amount of cost or less amount of cost that is needed to really manage an online business. Big time plus, my friend. There is a big time opportunity for me to increase my online presence within Luckland and also outside Luckland in this case. How is that possible is something that one has to really contemplate. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear, Karan? With me on this? Karan Puttar, with me on this?
Yes, sir.
Alright, Karan, की गल? उदास है कहाँ आज?
नहीं, साथ साथ ऑफिस का काम चल रहा है.
बंद कर दे पुत्र क्या ऑफिस नू, बाद विच करांगे ऑफिस दा काम. Alright, let's go. Challenges within the industry. We have competition factors. Yes, traditionally based on price, product range, quality, marketing, brand name, and distribution channel. Now these are basic, right? We all understand this. New competitive priority. Now this is something that's very interesting. I really love this. Speed to market has become crucial due to fast changing fashion trend and more frequent shoe purchases by fashion and price conscious customer. Speed to market. What is this, Meg? Speed to market. We really want new shoes to be manufactured as soon as possible, and of course they are being transported or transferred to the consumer in the quickest format. Amazon is the classical example. I ordered my badminton shoes day before yesterday. Yesterday they got delivered. Today morning I was at the court wearing them and playing with them. That's the beauty, right? Speed to market is a big thing that really motivates us, right? Because I knew that if I go to Decathlon, it is Saturday, Sunday, there is no parking, it's a big time problem. What will I do? I don't want to go there. So I just opened up the Amazon, chose up my badminton shoe, and I thought, let me just see when would that be delivered. They said it will be delivered to you within a day. Price 70 rupees extra within a day. Very good. Pay 70 rupees extra, it will be delivered on the Sunday night. Monday morning, Pankaj Dhingra on the court wearing those badminton shoes. Oops! Very nice. That is what that is needed, my friend. Speed to market is very important. But you know what, Saket? You really have to have a very strong infrastructure for it. It is not possible. Not like Amazon. We may not have anybody else who can deliver such so fast. Amazon and Flipkart are the exceptions, right? You cannot, as a manufacturer, you cannot deliver that. So you really have to have a strong infrastructure. You never know if there is a discussion that really comes on in the exam wherein they are contemplating on building the infrastructure or capitalizing on the current infrastructure. You never know if something like this really comes on to the exam. But we know that this is the new competitive priority. If Dern shoes have to do well, they have to have strong mechanism or rightful mechanism to have speed to market being taken care. Is that something clear, Mehak? With me on this? Alright. Moving on, Flamingo's advantage. What is this? Flamingo has an advantage of designing, producing and selling new shoe style within weeks, enabling rapid response to the trends. Excellent. Very nice. They have this advantage. Demand driver, household disposable income strongly influences the quantity, frequency and quality of shoe purchases. Okay, so disposable income is a limiting factor, my friend. We have to see how much disposable income we have, how is overall growth of the country going, how are consumer really enjoying and of course doing well or not. We have to see that. Economic slowdown is a concern. Growth dropped from 5.1% to 1.1%, which may mean, Mehak Puttar, that we have to get into cost differentiation now. We may have to produce cheap shoes now to be there in the market, because market is slowing down. They may not have a good amount of disposable income. What should I do if I keep selling the mid or the high point products? I may have to go on to selling the Relaxo or these Sparks of the world. I may have to go selling the cheap products rather than going really high in terms of pricing. You never know, but you should have that in your mind, my friend. All right, changing the consumer behavior again, that's happening. Shift from mid price to low price shoes in response to lower disposable income. See, I said that you may have to reduce from high to mid to low, depending upon what you're really feeling. Industry growth now primarily comes from handcrafted shoe sales, both in Luckland and the export market. So the only piece that is exploding or growing is the handcrafted shoes, and God helped me there, because I am into that field. I am into the handmade products, handcrafted products. Dern company is already doing that, Saket. We can capitalize on that. We can really extend that, and so on and so forth. Ethical and the environmental concern is also there for industry. Poor employment protection and environmental practice in outsourcing countries are discouraging customers from buying shoes made there. Now you never know, Mehak, if Dern company is outsourcing a product to a country and that country has very bad employment conditions. So it is an impact that I may have in my country. The consumers will stop buying my product. I have to manage that. I have to think on that. Some consumers are opting for more expensive domestically handcrafted shoes despite budget constraints. So do you have to see to it that are you really outsourcing your product? Do you really have a need to outsource a product? Can you do that domestically? Who knows if something like this really gets your way. Ethical brands, manufacturers like the Parish, who highlight the Luckland heritage and craftsmanship, are thriving locally and internationally. Now this can be something that the Dern shoes can really complement and of course adopt. This trend is increasing demand for skilled workers and encouraging new entrants to the handcrafted segments. Again, a source of concern. You may get to see a lot of competition there. Environmental impact. Shoe manufacturing accounted for 1.4% of global greenhouse gas emission in X4. Most discarded shoes in Luckland ends up in landfill and take years to biodegrade. Now this is one line, my friend, but Ashutosh, I have really picked this up very, very seriously. Most discarded shoes in Luckland end up in landfills and take years to biodegrade. Very important, guys. If I were Dern shoes and if I have to think futuristic, I may have to find something to have a process wherein discarded shoes are being taken care. If I can do something on this ground, I can be differentiated in the market as far as the environmental impact is concerned. Can I do that? Can I have a product that doesn't take years to biodegrade? Maybe. Can I have a product which I can destroy? Maybe. Who knows? But those are things that should get onto your mind. Online returns issue. Who doesn't know this, right? I ordered the badminton shoe. They came up on Sunday. I played on Monday. I didn't like it. In the afternoon, I returned it. Oops. Amazon guy came up and he said, okay, we're okay to take it back. What do you want in return? I said, I want my mobile cover. I don't need badminton shoes now. Now that's a problem, right? Many of the companies, they just end up spending too much of money on these returns. High return rates due to sizing issues damages, unmet expectations, and multiple purchases for fit checking. Very important and very common problem. How many of you have bought shoe on Amazon and then returned it? I can tell you, if I had 10 hands, I would have raised 10 hands. At least I have done it 10 times. I ordered something for my son, not worked well, returned. For me, sole was not good, returned. Something or the other, returned. Can you go and do the same thing on the Liberty store, Bata store? Maybe not, right? You'll take up, you'll walk, everything is okay, you'll come back. Now you will think about 10 times for going back and returning it, because they will not return it. First, they will not return it. Second, they will insult you, that how can you bring this back? And third, you don't like getting onto the argument. But that's not there with Amazon, right? Because there is no one to see you. The guy will come, you will even raise your voice and return the good. Big time problem with online business. So while we are thinking back to increase the online business, we should be aware that there is a problem. Problem on returns. Problem on having the lack of universal sizing standards. 9 number of New Balance suits me, but 9 number of ACCA is not good for me. 9 number of Bata is good for me, but 9 number of Reebok is not good for me. There is no universal standard. And free return shipping policies contribute to the return rate, because customers are the king. They are not charged anything. Returns exacerbate the environmental footprint of the industry, of course. And if returns happens, it will certainly impact the environment any which ways. Ethical and the sustainable footwear. Kind Shoes Company is a small Luckland-based manufacturer, produces ethical shoes using eco-friendly, sustainably and ethically sourced material. Can Dern Company do this? What kind of cost implication we would have? Can we do this? If we can, why not? Position as sustainable alternative to major manufacturers using cheaper, unsustainable man-made material. I would love to do that if I can. If I can justify the cost, why would I not? It will be a very good strategic positioning that I would have in comparison to my competitors. Why should I not do it? Recycling initiative being tested by some manufacturers abroad. No significant recycling development in Luckland yet. Big time issue, right? Recycling is important for our industry. It is not there. Industry doesn't have it. It's a negative. We should have that in our mind. That one of the negative points of our industry in Luckland is that recycling opportunities are not there. We should have this at the back of our mind, come what may. Now, 3D printing used for creating prototypes, custom-made shoes and limited editions. These are like technological advancements that are happening. We should know that we as Dern Company may have to think about this. Intelligent shoes. Now, this is something I loved reading this, I can tell you. Now, intelligent shoes are equipped with technology to track fitness, performance and health, transferring data via Bluetooth to the smartphone. Now, who thought about it? Crazy it is, right? But that is gonna be the future, Ashutosh. Who the hell wants to buy Apple Watch for counting 10,000 steps anymore? We can easily buy it 1,000 rupees watch and count that, right? Now, if you are not liking the watch, forget about the watch. Buy the shoe that does that for you. It is possible, right? That's how technology is changing. Let's think about it. As Dern Company, can we think about it? Can we do something at that regard? Does that benefits in terms of the analysis that we have to do when we do cost versus benefit? Does that really helps? Maybe, maybe not. But have that at the back of your mind. Customizable shoes, especially athletic ones, allow customer design personalization. I am against this. I am just against this. Because if you start customizing it, it is not possible to scale up. Big time issue. Scalability is always a big time issue when it comes to customizing. Important. We should have that. Virtual and augmented reality. Tools on Luckland based online platform let customer virtually try the shoes using smartphone cameras. That's the future, right? That's the future. Does Dern Company has that technological advantage, technological infrastructure? Should we build that? What is the cost benefit that we would have? What is the plus and minuses? Do we have the competency being available internally? Can we hire more people? Think about it. Think on those lines. Do we have the cash being available? Finance being available? Who knows? Do we have our management being open for these ideas? Who knows? Have that. Have that with you in your mind. All right, coming on to the industry body, industry standards and the legislation that one has to really deal with. We have Luckland Shoe Association, which promote the shoe industry both domestically and internationally. What are you doing internationally when it comes to online? Please do something. Offers members support, advice, expertise, publication, and government connections. Okay, so we have LSA to go forward to. Made in Luckland campaign run by LSA to promote Luckland manufactured shoes. Accreditation confirms compliance with quality, safety, labor, and sustainability standard. Accredited manufacturers can use MIL mark. Am I using this? Is it possible for me to have this on my shoes? Let's check that out. Legal compliance. Shoe manufacturers must adhere to employment, health and safety, consumer protection, competition, and data protection laws. Yes. Done company, my company, is it really adhering to all of this? Are we really adhering to all of this as far as our exporters are concerned or importers are concerned? What is that? Strong copyright protection exists in Luckland. Okay, we have to see through that. Legally required health and safety test must confirm material used in shoes are non-hazardous. You have to have this way. Workforce representation. Most industry staff are members of the National Shoe Union. National Shoe Union advocates worker rights, including negotiating pay and working conditions. Very important, guys, that we have the strong mechanism by which we can really check in terms of what is being paid. Are we really adhering to the guidelines that is being issued by NSU, and so on and so forth. Are we having any current case also, litigation also being pending? Who knows? We have to check out on that. That's where, my friend, we finishes the overall information that is available in your pre-seen material as far as this industry is concerned. This actually circles down all of that I think is really important for you to have at the back of your mind as far as the pre-seen material is concerned. We have spoken about a lot of things, my friend, lot of things that should really be part of your mind, part of your thought process as far as the overall pre-seen material is concerned. Now is the time, Ashutosh, that you should go and read the pre-seen material, only the industry context. Do not read the company's context. We will do a session tomorrow on the company. Then read the company's context. As of now when you will go, Mehak, and read the industry context, you will have information like this with you. You would have 10 bulbs blinking like this in your head once you will now read it. That is the reason I was saying, please do not start pre-seen material till the time we have done this session, because now you would have information being consumed in a much better way. Does that sound like a plan? Yes, sir. Now, next part, my friend, which is tomorrow, we will be covering Dern shoes. We'll be talking again on some of the areas that are being mentioned out here and getting out into the details of covering them in the best possible way. Any question, anyone, guys, before we wrap this up? Anything that really comes to anyone's mind?
Actually, pre-seen material में जो content है, उसके बेस पे क्वेश्चन आता है एग्जाम में. मेरा फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट है इस चीज का, मुझे आइडिया नहीं.
यस सर, प्री-सीन मटेरियल के बेस पे नहीं आता है. प्री-सीन मटेरियल उसका बैकग्राउंड हो सकता है. क्वेश्चन तो किस पे आएगा वो तो किसी को पता ही नहीं है. उसने आपको बता दिया कि इंडस्ट्री ये है, फिर उसने आपको बता दिया कंपनी ये है, जो हम कल बात करेंगे. एंड देन व्हाट विल हैपन इज दैट इन द एग्जाम देयर विल बी सम इश्यूज दैट विल बी रिलेटेड टू दिस कंपनी दैट विल बी डिस्कस्ड. सो यू हैव टू आंसर दैट इशू in the context of information that would be given to you in the exam, considering the pre-seen material at the back of your mind into consideration. Then you have to answer that. Mayank, do you get that? Oh, sorry. Mayank, do you get that?
Yes, sir.
साकेत,
एक क्वेश्चन है.
थोड़ा जोर की बोलना पड़ेगा बेटा.
सर हमें 80 मार्क्स का लिखना है.
Yes.
Like 80 मार्क्स का एंड 20 मार्क्स का प्रोफेशनल.
Yes.
तो आप अगर हम लोग अप्रॉक्स पकड़ते हैं 80 into 2, मतलब 2 minutes per mark, तो 160 minutes हो जाता है. और पेपर है 3 hours 15 minutes का.
बिल्कुल.
तो रीडिंग के लिए तो टाइम ही नहीं बचा.
तो हम तो बोलते हैं कि आपने 1.8 मिनट्स देना है, 1.8 मिनट से ज़्यादा देना नहीं है. रीडिंग के लिए मुझे 40 मिनट्स मिलते हैं फिर.
अगर 1.8 मिनट रखूँ मैं
तो आपको रीडिंग के लिए 40 मिनट्स मिलेंगे एंड दैट इज़ द टाइम यू नीड. इससे ज़्यादा का टाइम चाहिए भी नहीं मुझे. Because we have already eaten up, I'm telling you, by tomorrow you have actually eaten up the entire pre-scene material. Then is the time to really hit it and hit it hard. Ashutosh? Anything that troubles you?
No, sir.
Mehak?
No, sir.
Anyone? Saloni is here? No, I don't think so.
और
पर-
मॉक एग्जाम कितने होने अभी?
अभी तो पहला दिया ना मयंक, अभी पहले उसे चेक तो करूं मैं, उसको भेजता हूं, फिर दूसरा देंगे. सबसे पहले मैं इसीलिए तो मैं बोल रहा था कि रिवीजन तक आप मत जाने दो मॉक एग्ज़ाम को. अब वो होता क्या है, इस समय रिवीजन भी होना है और मॉक एग्ज़ाम भी होना है, देन इट इज़ डिफ़िकल्ट. बट करते हैं, एटलीस्ट 2 मॉक एग्ज़ाम तो देने ही चाहिए. मयंक, आप सुन पा रहे हो मुझे?
Yes.
All right, guys. If there is nothing, let's just wrap this up. I'll see you tomorrow, almost the same time. We'll confirm you the same, and we'll take it on the next one, which is the last one or the last part for the grand revision for June 2025 exam. And of course, we'll kill the pre-scene material in entirety tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining.